wasn't hiding, but he ain't announced it. He ain't said there was like, hey, I'm from Planet Similac, buddy. It was like, how's it going? Sorry about all of the violence and everything.
Hey, welcome back to an all new episode of Matinee Social, where you, our ticket holders, would join us as we discuss HBO's Lanterns Season 1, Episode 2, titled Trust Fall. I am your host, Chris. This is my co host, Cass. Grab your popcorn and take a seat. Let's do this. All right. I have a lot of thoughts on this particular episode, but I'm going to let you.
Surprise. Surprise.
So,
like, we're not going to do that where it's like, I'm going to let you go ahead and you're going to talk about. No, we're like, we're going to go.
No, I will rudely interrupt where I see fit, but I want you to go ahead and, go through the episode and give us your thoughts. And like I said, I'll rudely interrupt.
All right. So it was like episode starts. Hal Jordan finally going to tell John that he's going to teach him how to fly. After about a month of asking, he's like, I'm going to teach you how to fly. Take the ring and you go fly. And then Jon Stewart looks at him crazy, like, well, what do you mean? And it's like, and Hal tells him, fly. And he was like, and then he explains it, which, made sense to me. He's like, I'm a fighter pilot. Flight is just instinctual to me. I know what that means. It was like, for you, fly. It was like, you're going to, like, basically telling John, you're going to have to figure it out. Mm-hmm. So John takes the ring, gets ready, tries to take off, and creates a bird. So, and he creates a bird, and it's like, Hal is like, the hell is this? It was like, why are we even bothered doing this right now? But the curious thing is when John gives the ring back to Hal, the bird remains. The construct doesn't disappear, which Hal finds curious, but he doesn't say anything, speaking none of it, and then tells John, you know what? Power Rings running out of juice. I need you to go back to Coast City, go to my house, and go get the battery. So John heads off to go get the battery.
But he tells him something specific about the bird when he does that. He tells him that he needs to keep it alive.
Yeah, well, he tells him, it's like, yep, keep the construct alive. If you come back and the bird's not there, you fail the test, but keep the bird alive. But
okay,
I think that was also some kind of just random BS that Hal was throwing out there because he was shocked to see that bird was still there.
I agree, but I want to just pause right here for a minute because we already know Hal has some issues, but this situation surrounding the bird in this episode is what bothered me in a few places, because I'm going to wait until we get towards the end when more of the bird issue comes up. But this is, I'm just putting it out there right now, is bothering me. So let's go. Why are you frowning?
So John goes off, go get the ring, and then Hal continues his investigation into the alien issue. He goes back to the scene of the crime, which is the high school stadium, and he walks through the metal detector and finds it curious that the metal detector does not go off.
So and he's got his belt and everything else on him, so he's wondering why the metal detector isn't detecting all of the metal. And he goes and gets the part to the doggone car.
Right, destroys part of the rental car, which was destruction number 1. So hopefully they did get their insurance on that thing and need to check it. So and goes through with the front of the car, and it still doesn't set the detector off. Right. So Hal, of course, finds this curious, and then he sets off on his quest to check and see what kind of detectors these things are. Now, in testing that, let's say, well, before he goes to test that, he goes to town and sees the town looking a little on the deserted side. There was like, there was nobody around on the street or anything else because, and where are they? They're all having a nice town meeting.
Oh, yeah. Nothing wrong with town halls. I think that they're needed from time to time. Yeah.
Except when you walk into town hall and everybody turns to look at you, and he was like, "Oh, y'all was talking about me, huh? Y'all talking about me?" And then nobody else say anything. So he goes in, and it turns out they were kind of talking about him. And the big question that is asked of him several times is basically, "Why are you still here?" It was like,
repeatedly throughout the course of this
right.
episode.
I was like, the aliens are dead. Why are you still here? So it's obvious to Hal that everybody trying to get rid of him for some reason, but whatever. So
Hal really doesn't even have an answer. All he can say at this particular point in the story and in the episode is that it's his gut, because he still doesn't.
That he doesn't understand.
No.
Yeah, right. He doesn't understand exactly or know for sure what's going on, but he does say, it's like, I got a feeling something weird is with this town. And it's like, to me, it's like, it's not a feeling. You can just look, something's weird is with this town. So Hal decides to bust into the morgue and take some of the alien dead bodies. He takes about 3 of them, drives back to the stadium. And
he's in the carpool lane, folks. I mean, or I should say he got enough for the carpool lane.
It's like he's got a couple of guys in the back, one in the passenger seat, just decided to roll back to the stadium and then drags them through the metal detector and they go off. And then he realizes this is not necessarily a metal detector, it's an alien detector.
Right.
So he's got questions for Mr. Macon up in the compound that he wants to ask. But his old ex-girlfriend, friend, Sheriff Kelly Macon, basically is kind of trying to persuade him not to do this.
Are we sure that they are exes? It sounds like they could be, like there's some form of attraction, but later on in the episode, it sounded like that they had never dated. Because there was a specific question asked, but they
might not have dated, but it's like, I think that there was something there at one point or another. He goes back to the compound with her because she insists on going. And then Hal is Hal. He was like, hey, it was like, I got some questions. Why are you doing this? And again, he's asked, we don't understand why you're still here. And then Hal keeps talking. And then the head of the compound, Macon, basically calls back to the guy in the watchtower who pulls a sniper rifle out. And Hal is like, what are you going to do? Shoot me? It was like, they don't know the charge is not in my range. I'll just bubble up. And then he gets shot in the shoulder, which I was cracking up. And I was like, just like, oh, that is hilarious.
I mean, you should only bluff in circumstances where the bluff might not be as risky, right? I feel like.
Okay. So, meanwhile, as Hal is bleeding out on the ground in front of the sheriff, John goes to Hal's house and find out that Hal Jordan has a nice little mansion. Now, the mansion itself is very sparsely decorated. Right. It was like, you can see he's got a TV on the wall with a little folding chair in front of it. He's got a bed. His nightstand is a couple of milk crates. It was like, and like John, before Hal is shot, John does call him saying, it was like, when are you moving in? He was like,
wait a minute. Let's back up a half a tick to how he told him how he needs to get into the house, because when he said that the key is under the rocks and the whole front of the house has a million rocks. So he should have been more specific before that point.
It looks like a potato. It's got a smile on it. That could be a frown if it's upside down. It's on the left. It was like, yo, I understand the hide a rock thing, but at the same time, dog.
Oh, right.
You got freaking pebbles all over this place. How would I going to find his key if he wasn't that specific?
Right.
So he does get into the house. It was like he looks around. That was like while John is looking for the lantern, he does find some of Hal's Green Lantern uniforms and takes one out the closet, puts it in front of the mirror in front of his face, like, yeah, I could rock this. Like, this is great.
Is that what he thought?
Yes, that's what he was doing.
I don't think
like he wasn't looking at that like, this is the way the uniform y'all wear.
I don't think that. I don't.
This ain't got this. He's looking at that uniform because, as it stands in this episode, all we know about John's past having this job is this is what he's been working towards anyway. So he's looking at that uniform where he did it with let me hold the hanger right here. The uniform is like, yeah, this is where the neckline holds. He was like, yeah, like, this is my future. This is what I'm going to do. That's how he was looking at that.
I don't think that's how he was looking at it.
What do you think he was doing with it in front of the mirror for?
Of course. I mean, yeah, you're going to lift it up. I mean, everybody does that just to see. But I think after he did that, to me, he came back to himself saying, okay, this isn't mine yet. I haven't earned it. I feel
Right.
like
That's
that.
what I'm like.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, he's like, I'm wearing this, I'm taking this to go. I'm going to put this on when I get back to the motel, and I'm like,
Okay.
yeah. I ain't saying that. I was just saying that
You
he's
gonna go
looking at
cruising,
it
picking
as
up chicks.
more like,
Okay.
like he ain't gonna go in the bar rocking it. All of a sudden, it's like, yeah, see me, Green Lantern. Yup, that's me right now. It's like, it wasn't doing that. He was looking at it more like, yup. It was like, this is where I'm going to be. This is going to be my uniform soon. That type of thing.
Okay.
So he was able to get the lantern that was in a pocket dimension. It was like they gave, the code to get in there was a title of one of the older comic book stories about one of the other lanterns, Mogo. So that was a nice little Easter egg that was in there. It was like, I picked up on that. It was a title.
Can we get to Earl? Can we get to Earl?
No, we ain't getting to Earl yet. We're not getting there yet. So then after he got the lantern, it was like one of the other things that Hal did ask him to do was feed his pet Earl. So of course, most people gonna think Earl is gonna be a cat or dog.
Or a dog, right?
It's like, no. It was like he gets raw meat out of the fridge for Earl. It was like, and then that's question one. Was like, well,
and then the spoon.
Maybe this is a cat, dog, and then you look at the wooden spoons; it's all chewed up. And it was like, what kind of cat or dog is this? And then Earl is a carnivorous plant. And it's just like, don't know what planet Hal got him from. Don't know where it's like Hal said, you know what? Taking his home. It was like, I'm keeping it. It was like, but that's his pet in the greenhouse. Carnivorous plant that eats raw meat. Okay. So yeah, and who knows, like the way Hal was going, who knows the last time we fed that plant. So hopefully that plant wasn't on the verge of death or nothing.
Well, it did not look like it was. It looked very it looked hungry.
Ate the mailman. It was like, I'm surprised the mailman was body parts or something else wasn't left. But yeah.
But I liked how John approached Earl, as it were, because he didn't. I mean, he could have just thrown the food at him. He could have just but he respectfully was like, "Hey, I'm here, to feed you, basically, and please don't eat me too." He didn't say that, but he might as well had. I just, kind of liked Earl because it was absolutely not something that I was expecting. So, all right, we're gonna move on.
All right. So then, after John gets the lantern, feeds Earl, because that was the highlight for you for the episode of Feed and Plant. Then, like as he locks up Hal's house and puts the key back, John is promptly jumped by a couple of guys. Now the guys jump him, and it looks like he's about to fight him off until he gets tased. And surprise, surprise, he's in the back of the van. And when John wakes up, he's like, "Where's my bird?" And it was like, "Oh, we got your bird. It's right here." So even unconscious, he's able to keep the construct alive. So that's also something.
Well,
so then when John starts, it's like, "Oh, you got my bird? Good." Then John starts throwing hands in the back of the van. And then that bird, like, "Oh, we squabbling?" So then the bird's fighting too. It was like, I'll scratch this guy's face. I'll pack up the.
I like that part. I like that part.
Yep, it was. But then you also see that guy is no regular guy because he starts one-handed throwing John against the ceiling of the van and the walls. Gets sloppy. John basically gets out of the van, starts running, does remember to pick up the lantern, because I thought it was like, if this fool runs and leaves the lantern in the middle of the street. But he picks up the bag, runs with it, then gets hit by another van, and then it wakes up, caught, strapped to a chair. Yeah. As he's caught, strapped to a chair, this other person starts talking to him, and John figured out he's an alien because of the way that he uses language and stuff, like the way his sentence structure is. He figures out.
He wasn't hiding that he was an alien either. He
wasn't hiding, but he ain't announced it. He ain't said like, "Hey, I'm from Planet Similac, buddy." It was like, "How's it going?" Sorry about all of the violence and everything. It was like, he didn't say that. It was like, so you didn't know initially. It's like you had a feeling, but you didn't, just from the guy in the van one arming him, but you didn't really know what it was. So John it also was a way, I feel, to show that John is not stupid and he's paying attention. And just from, he was able to figure out just by the way that guy was talking that he was not of Earth. So then the guy asked him the question, you know what a manhunter is? He was like, no. He was like, Jordan hasn't told you? He was like, Jordan ain't telling me nothing. And it was like, and then the alien goes, like, hey, basically we know there's a manhunter in town.
Right.
And you gonna find him.
In Rushville, Nebraska specifically.
Yep. Yeah. So it's like
because they're not there.
Find them, and you got 48 hours, but also to know why we're doing this, we're going to use our memory gun to download our memory inside you, so you understand why we're doing this. So that was a painful memory dump for
that
him.
Was awful.
So, but it was basically that was the way that was the easiest way, I guess, of them
relaying. I would have preferred you just telling me the story.
Yeah, just
nah. I feel like I'm empathetic enough that
that's not how they do. That's not how they do things on Similac 5. Like, I'm gonna need you to feel my pain. This is why I'm trying to make this return. This product was not to my liking. I need you to understand why it wasn't part of my liking.
No, thank you.
It's like, here you go. All right. And I was like, oh, you know what? I am going to give you that refund, sir. Thank you very much for sharing.
We could, you know what? Maybe we should have at least attempted to tell the story and see if he was feeling our side of the story in the manner in which we need him to do it. And then
48 hours. And then we, if you don't, can't find him out 148 hours.
I feel like that's a bit extreme.
Thank you. We thank you for your time, but then we're going to blow up the town. And we're going to just come and detonate ourselves to blow up the town. So as John heads back, Hal wakes up in the hospital, and then Sheriff Kelly is by his side. And then he's like, oh, you staying by my bedside. She was like, well, I got a 10-year-old at home, and I like this book, so where else was I going to go? And then she asked Hal, she's like, oh, what's Sinestro? And he was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, and that was a name that he was saying why he was unconscious. So then he says, oh, it's above your pay grade. It was like, oh, it's actually right here. I could just look it up in my phone. And I was like, then first of all, why did you ask me who he was? So she looked it up. It was like Sinestro was a Green Lantern, kind of had, tried to, throw a bit of a coup, got locked up. That's the short version of it, which is pretty much how things went in the comic, more or less. So,
right, but now they are more. He's still a pain in the butt, but they're more on the same page at this point, the two of them, because she basically said when she pulled him over with the bodies in the car, she said, "You are as caught up as I am." When he found out that the metal detectors were alien detectors, so they're kind of now on the same playing field. Oh my!
There's still stuff she's not telling him because when he left
with her father-in-law. Yeah.
When he left the hospital, he was the only name on the the sheet. There were no other names on the sheets of people that
and the medical equipment. Yeah,
and all the medical equipment just came out of looked like it was just unloaded into that building and unused. And she seemed like nonplussed by any of that stuff.
Not bothered, right?
Yeah, it was like you did get the one thing that she said that she was from Gotham. So he was like, oh, okay. And then like a conversation she had in the first episode makes more sense and gives a bigger connection to that. But I was like, other than that, it's like, oh, she's from Gotham. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's nice. It's like, good for her. But if she knows who the NDA is with, she haven't said. That was like, so she hasn't said that. So I think there's more stuff that she knows that she's keeping secret.
But is it more stuff that she knows that she's not necessarily certain as of yet is tied to this particular situation? I mean, she knows her father-in-law is who he is and that he's like some big shot and he's got money and pulls it. I feel like she does. But aside from that, does she know very specifically, or does she just have a hunch that what he is doing or what he's involved with is tied to the aliens, other than the fact that he had the alien detector, right? But does she know how involved he is?
Well, I think there's a couple of things going on just with the show. It's like, one, when the aliens were talking to Stewart, they were saying how that when their planet was wiped out and all those people were killed and everything else, a Green Lantern took the Manhunter and said that the Manhunter was going to be executed. but it
Mhm.
looks like that didn't happen, and
Mhm.
they hid the Manhunter on Earth.
Mhm.
Now, the prevailing theory, or what folks might jump to, is that Abin Sur was the one that had that Manhunter. That Manhunter escaped, and Abin Sur died during that escape attempt, and that's why he was in Rushville, Nebraska. But there's also
Mhm.
the idea that somebody else dropped that Manhunter on Earth prior to Abin Sur showing up, and Abin Sur was, basically crashed onto that planet and killed just to prevent him from reporting anything. So it could be, there's a couple of different things. Also,
Mhm.
for some of the other things, because the Manhunter can look like anybody, they
Mhm.
seem to be dropping ideas that, okay, if the head of the compound Macon, maybe he's not the Manhunter, but could Kelly be, because she's being secretive on stuff.
That's what I was
So,
thinking. It could also be the wife.
well, that's why I was going to say next. It was like, could Zoe be the Manhunter? And it's like,
Mhm.
because of how she is and everything else. And then the aliens mentioning to John, have you ever been betrayed by somebody that looked like somebody you love? If he falls
Mhm.
in love with Zoe and then she turns out to be the Manhunter, that could be
Brother.
something else. So there's a
Mr.
whole.
Smooth line of I never would have slept with you had I known you were married. You weren't too keen on asking questions either, buddy.
It was like,
I'm
shoot,
just
want to walk
saying.
me to my car? It was like, excuse me, are you married? Before I walk you, it was like, can't get no easier than this. So let's
Ever.
go. So John gets back to town. He does run into Zoe. They have their quick conversation where he does mention that, hey, I wouldn't have slept with you if I knew you was married. She drops him off back at the motel, where John gives the lantern, and also in the duffel bag, he packed up one of Jordan's suits.
Mhm.
And Jordan's like, why'd you bring this? He's like, I don't know. Maybe you want to dress for the part or something. So Jordan charges the ring. He has to say the oath. He kind of rushes through it to charge the
Yeah,
ring
he does.
because, like, whether he's just over being the Green Lantern for some of that or just finds the oath going, whatever it is. So he
Mhm.
does that. The bird is still alive. Hal kind of mentions to him, he was like, the bird is like, what did that mean to you? Was it some kind of subconscious thing? And it was like anything. And John says, no, it's just a bird. And then
Okay.
switches it to
Okay.
giving
This
us
is
context.
this is where I want to just slow down for a minute. This is where my issue with this particular show comes in. Not because it's not good. I think it's good. I just feel like obviously in that particular scene, you know that John was lying to Hal. That bird, I feel like, meant more to him than what he admitted to. My other issue is why can I just finish my thought without the look? I'll just say it. I guess. My other issue is so when he came back, he said, hey, those guys that basically like hemmed me up and made me go through this terrible, terrible memory that's not mine. Yeah, they told me that the fact that I'm able to manifest this bird and keep it alive without use of the ring means that I am in some way advanced. Apparently more than you, Hal. He didn't say that, but that was kind of implied. Um, and he said I figured for that I would have gotten a hoorah, and Hal kind of just gives him like a little sad hoorah. All right, fine, cool. My problem with this is Hal knew in the beginning that all right, he might be able to manifest it now, and he might be able to have it manifested for like the next 5 minutes while he's away from me or whatever. But at some point, this thing should fall apart and crumple to the sea. But I'm going to give him this, what he felt like was an impossible task of keeping this thing alive, and basically make him feel like potentially a failure. He is demented. He's got issues. And I need Hal to kind of figure it out because I don't think that was obviously he doesn't want him to take over. And obviously it seems like he didn't as we jumped 10 years in episode 1 and Hal still had the ring and John wasn't wearing it, et cetera, et cetera. But at what point do you just like act like a normal human being for a half a tick toward me. I've not done anything to you. I've not been rude. I've taken all your direction, all your BS direction, and gone on these ridiculous trips and have gotten nothing from it but heartache. I just find it absolutely appalling that he did that. I am sorry. I will step down off of my little stool. I am done. I digress. Go ahead.
So anyway, after that, Hal takes the
So
uniform
rude.
and he goes back to his room and puts it on. So he suits up to actually see him in the uniform, and then he takes off to go to Oa. And it's like you don't know why necessarily he's going there. Figures like maybe some research on the Manhunter stuff or to yell at the Guardian or something. So then he goes to one of the cells. That in that cell is Sinestro, and Hal Jordan asked him. He was like, "What's a Manhunter?" And then Sinestro answers him. He was like, "Well, it's probably the second most dangerous thing that you have to deal with. Tell me about John Stewart." And then the episode goes on. So it's like it was a great episode. There's a lot of stuff that I know. There's certain things that I know that you don't, so I can't say them. So it's like without spoiling other stuff. So it's just like
okay. Well, since you just gave me the deadpan look while I was going through my little bird spiel, can you off the top just give me your feeling about it without maybe?
I had no problem with it whatsoever.
Really?
I had no.
You
problem.
had no issue with how he handled that entire situation and the fact that he gave him what he thought was a failing task.
I have no problem because I don't think he gave him a failing task.
He thought he was giving him a failing task.
I think Hal knows more about John than he is letting on. And there are certain things that he's doing to not so much train John as to test him. And I think that was part of the test because once John took off the ring, that construct should have disappeared. And the fact that it did not, the proximity doesn't matter. It was like he took the ring off, that thing should have disappeared. And the fact that it didn't, I think, is how it's like saying, hey, keep that thing alive. It's a test to see if he's able to keep that construct alive without the ring and for how long.
Right. So, and that's the thing. So did he think maybe, all right, so, did he think maybe, all right, by the time he gets on the flight or by the time he lands or whatever like this, not necessarily saying it has anything to do with his proximity to the ring, but just him saying, okay, maybe he could keep this thing alive for like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes or whatever, right? Without the ring. Did he think that he was that strong to be able to keep it alive that long? So, well, that's my point. So yeah, he might know some things that John doesn't even know about himself. But instead of approaching it in a situation where you're like, hey, you're able to do this, why don't we see how long you're able to keep this bad boy going?
No.
I don't know. I
have no problem with the way that he did it. It was like,
well,
it was like you.
I just feel like it was.
Hey, let's be kinder to each other. It is like
it's not a matter of being kinder. It's a matter of just it came off, especially in the end when he was told, hey, I might be more advanced than even you are letting me know that you seemingly know about me that I don't know. That it's coming across more like, is he angry because he's more advanced, or is he just trying to torment him? Or because to be stronger, I don't need to be punished. We don't need to have this.
But I feel like you looking for some kind of compassionate understanding from a man that jumped out of a car and let it go over a ravine, not knowing 100% if you're going to make it or not. It'd be different if and then said, 3 miles down is a taco stand, by the way. So I know that if you survive this and don't break anything, you're going to have to walk. And then you're looking for somebody to say, hey, man, great job, or to doing that with the bird. It was like you kind of, they laid out exactly the type of person that Hal was, which is a jackass and an older jackass from the jump. And now you looking for, it's like, hey, guy, great job.
No, I'm not looking for a pat on the back. I am just, even if you're not going to give him the kudos, at least just be I don't know, even Keel, like I don't know. You don't have to be a
I
jerk. And
jumped
even when
out
he gave
a
him the hoorah,
moving
he
car.
gave him the hoorah as like,
Yeah,
you know,
he
you
gave it to
asked
him
for
where
it.
it was
So
like, all right, great job. It was like, you can't even tell me great job, or, you know, I fixed this dinner. I took all day in the kitchen. I did this, and you're not even going to tell me. It's like, all right, it was good. It was like, go ahead. It was like, go ahead with that. It was like, that's enough. I had no problems with Hal doing it. I got none. Because, like, I think
I
Hal
don't know.
knows, I think Hal knows a little bit more
Yes,
about
I
what's
agree.
happening, like what's going on, and like then he's let on. It was like, I don't think he wants to give up the ring necessarily, but at the same time, I also feel it's going to be a thing. If he has to give it up, he doesn't mind giving up the position to him, but he wants to make sure that he is prepared and worthy for it. But I
I
have
will.
no problem with how he's been, like, because it's not like John's been sitting there. It's like, okay, sir, thanks. It's like, okay, they've been assholes to each other back and forth.
Sir,
So, like, they've kind of, it's been back and forth. It was like,
I
he's
don't think
been
it's
saying,
been
like,
as
it's
much
not,
back and forth as you try to portray.
you
I
know,
think
like, I
I
feel it's
think
like there's a frustration with John has a frustration because he's used to being a
exactly.
man and Hal's not there. But at the same time, it's not like he's sitting here like they're not cordial to each other.
They're not. And John has a smart mouth toward him, but Hal not only has a smart mouth, but he is physically tormenting this man.
He ain't physically do this. I'm jumping out the car. He's like, he ain't do that. No.
Except jumping out the car.
Jump out the car. I left you the ring. It was like, you made some bubble wrap, saved yourself. All right, good job. It was like, what you want me to do? It was like, what you want me to do? It was like, throw some rocks at you, just have you deflect them with the ring, start you off small. It was like,
I agree.
Okay, create a bike.
I agree that he wants to make sure that he is the appropriate person to take over. I, however, disagree with the fact that he wants to or is ready to give it up, because like I said the last time, this is so tied to his identity. Like, what's he gonna do afterwards?
Take a nap.
No, this man doesn't want a nap.
Like,
this
but
man
like
just,
I said, it's like,
he wants to be ornery just to be ornery. So
it was like, we'll disagree on this, but yeah, it was like,
okay,
I think
apparently we will. All right,
that's
well,
it.
you know.
So yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, you know, let us know what you think about the episode, and you are more than welcome to drop it in the comments. So please be sure to like, share, subscribe. We appreciate you watching this episode. Cheers.